So we just had a pretty important party in here yesterday, and it was actually my baby shower, so yay. But that being said, now I can get the shop dirty for the winter of 2024 and spring of 2025. So now all of these projects can come in. It's starting to get a little cold out. I think it's like +2 today. So we're gonna see how well this thing starts today. So we need like a bolt or something. We'll find a piece of metal somewhere on the ground. Let's just get the booster pack all hooked up. All right, let's try this out. A little helper can. The other door won't open now, so now I gotta come through this side. All right, ready? Well guys, we got step number 1 in the project here. We got step number 1 inside the shop. We still have a little bit more party cleanup to do from the TV and things. Oh, so we're gonna be taking this 4B, we're gonna be making it a 4BT. So I've already bought the manifold, we've already bought the return lines, the feed lines, everything like that. And then we're going to be using that box, that box, that box, and I believe that long box as well, all to put a ZF6 behind this 4BT. Now let's go check out the ZF6. Actually before we do that, we already have a Cummins adapter, but this one here is running a Ford gasser bolt pattern. So like I could run a ZF5, but it would have to be out of the F150, and I think it would make all my gear ratios extremely wrong. I want diesel ratios, so then that way I have lower gear ratios. So let's go see the ZF6. So over here, I think it's got to be over 13, 14 months ago, I went and bought this. So not this Camry engine, not that LS engine, not this Camry engine, not this RAV4 engine, not this LS engine, not those Camry engines, not this Camry engine. This ZF6 transmission is what I'm after. So this right here is out of a, I believe, I can't quote it correctly, but I believe it's out of a 7.3 two-wheel drive. I can't quote it because the 6-liter two-wheel drive has a different bell housing. And with that, we got, let me just try to get over to it. This year ZF has transmission cooler lines, we got drive shafts, we got throw bearings, we got clutch pedals, we got slaves, we got masters, we got flywheel. Even though most of this is going to be no good to us, I got all of it just to make sure that I had the parts I needed. So eventually we're going to have to get all the way into this. I might just try to lift this out. I don't know. We'll have to see. But This here is part of the project. And then underneath the project, we're going to be running these axles. I don't mind a Dana 44 front, but apparently I just had a buddy come over and he told me this is not even a Dana 44. This is a corporate 10-bolt front axle. So I'm not super happy about that. And I kind of wanted a Dana 60 rear axle, but then I don't think this thing here is a Dana 60 as well. I think this is a corporate 14. Or corporate 12, sorry, corporate 12. So I'm not overly happy with the axles I got, so I might or might not invest into money in these and just start looking on Facebook Marketplace for a Kingpin 60 and a 60 rear, or even a corporate 14 rear. Now, that 4BT is not going to be putting out a lot of power, so I don't really need the really big axles, but I think it's just, if I'm going to invest the money into axles, I'd rather invest the money into the axles that I actually want. So saying that, these are the axles I got. I got all the leaf springs, bushings, brackets, and all that stuff. I don't know what I'm going to need. And then from that square body that these axles came out of, I also kept, make my way past all this stuff, we got a couple cross members, we got some bump stops, we got some leaf spring perches, we got some hanger bearing perches, we got all the brackets that I think that we're going to need. So if you guys haven't figured it out, do you guys know what project I'm going to be getting? If not, we're going to go find out. So today's the day I reveal what the project is. So we got to hop in the Dodge, we got to drive to my dad's house, and we got to get the thing. Oh my God, there's oil coming out from underneath this. Where is this oil coming from? We'll have to figure all this out, where all this stuff's coming from. That's all to be determined. So, what we're probably going to be using is this thing here has hydraulic power steering. We're probably going to be keeping that. It's got power hydraulic brakes. We're probably going to be keeping that. This is all going to be retrofitted into the project because this is a complete standalone vehicle as it sits right now. I've had a couple people tell me that this injection pump's not going to work for what I need it to be, but who knows? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll have to see. Yeah, so let's go see what we got for a project truck for the winter. So you guys have been waiting quite a long time. Some of you longtime viewers of my channel might already know what this vehicle is. But some of you new viewers might not know what this thing is. So the story on this truck is I've been wanting one of these pretty much my entire life. And I saved up a little bit of money and I found one in Alberta. And it was on a trailer, blah, 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 for sale. And I had a buddy driving back from British Columbia that had towed an RV trailer out there. So he had a flat deck truck with no trailer coming home, but his whole 12-foot flat deck was full of stuff to come back. So when I found this thing on the trailer, I sent the link to him. He bought it for me, brought it back, charged me a small fee to bring it back, which is understandable. But this is my dream truck with one small little caveat. This is a step side box. I've always wanted fleet side, but fleet side was only offered in 58, 59, and I don't like the headlights for 58, 59, so I got the front end I wanted, but I don't have the box I wanted. I figured it'd be easier to find a box than find the whole front end. I don't know. But I think we have all of it off. Are you guys ready to see what it is? Oh, one more strap. That was a teaser. Let's try this again. I love the sound effects crew. So what we have here is my 1957 GMC. I call these things Chevys. They're all Chevys to me. My 1957 GMC pickup. Now, I don't have a whole lot of history on this thing, and it's a little beat up, but I'm fine with all of that. I don't need a show truck. I don't need something that's going to win me trophies. I need something that runs, kind of drives, kind of stops. And I'm going to get that with this. So the story on this truck is I bought this thing in northern Alberta, And it's a pretty rare truck. This is a factory 1-ton 4-wheel drive truck. And I'm gonna rip most of these super rare parts out of it and put not rare parts into it. So we're gonna be getting rid of the Napco axles and putting newer axles underneath it, mostly because this front end one has sat probably 40 years in a field of dirt, and it is filled up with dirt. So to find parts for this would be hard, expensive, and inconvenient. So we're going to put a much newer axle underneath those Copart 14s, which I'm still not happy with. So we might just put them underneath to get it rolling and then switch to 60s later. Who knows? And we're going to be taking the motor out of it because this motor is actually seized. We're going to be taking the transmission out of it because the motor is attached to the transmission and I want neither one of them. The 4BT that you guys see me drive in the shop this morning is going to go into this, along with the Ford ZF6. And then we're going to be probably putting the lift springs into this one because these springs here are pretty much flat. And I want to make sure that the springs I put in match the spring purchase of the Copart 14. So that way if I do upgrade to 60s later, it'll be a direct swap in and I won't have to make the springs narrower or wider. What else? We're going to be going to a scrapyard that was closed in the 80s later this week because new owners have bought it and they're cleaning everything out. So we're going to be looking for a new windshield, back window, and a fleet side box for this. My brother has a 58, so we're going to be looking for 58 fenders for him because he needs fenders for his. I'm going to be looking for a newer grill just because this one here has looked like it's seen better days. So it's going to be a little hard to get this thing on the trailer, and the reason for that is it's got no front axle and the rear tires don't turn. And obviously it doesn't run. So let's take a quick look at this truck to see what kind of project we have ourselves into, and then we're going to try to get it on the trailer. So this is the truck we have here. If any of you guys have been watching some of my TikToks in the previous years or my YouTube shorts, you may have seen this truck. So some things that we would like to change is to get the right grill, get rid of the fence post that's holding the grill up. We're probably going to upgrade the steering box inside of this thing and putting newer leafs underneath there. There's nothing wrong with this setup, but this is definitely dated and I'd like to put newer springs just to make sure they fit the newer axles. When I'm telling you guys that this thing's full of dirt, these axles are full of dirt. Like, look at the ring gears. It's been open to the public for years, getting full of dirt. So we kept a lot of stuff off that square body chassis that will work in this. So we got some axles for the front end, but again, I'm still going to be missing pieces. We got some brake drums for the front end, but there's only one hub there. There's not two. We got a Burfield, but the front axle I'm not worried about. All these parts are probably going to be going up for sale. I'm more worried about this. Like, look at how solid this body is. So it's been painted with a paintbrush recently. As you can see, it's still got the tape around it. I kind of do like the red, but I would like to age the red a bit. I'd like to get rid of this. I'm not a fan of step sides, but I do like how they incorporated the bumper into the step side. I don't have a tailgate, so that's something that we're probably going to be looking for at this scrapyard. I'm going to be coming up with a list of things that I need to look for at the scrapyard. I do like the rear bumper. I like how it's very homemade, rough. You can see all the stick welds. It's probably been on there for 50 years. But yeah, so some of the things that we're going to be looking for is glass. If I find a big back window, I might cut the whole top of the cab out, a box, and yeah, a tailgate probably. So that's the gist of this truck. Oh, and a grill and stuff like that. But so what we're going to do now is we're going to get this thing winched onto the trailer. Now it's going to be a little difficult, one, because it's up on wooden blocks. So we're just going to back the trailer in as far as we can, try to put the jacks underneath the spring perches, and then get it onto there. So let's get this thing going.